whether I am right or he is right. Whether how we can make both of us are right. That can be possible only if a person talking about it must think about, and he must also go to the position in which the other person is. And he will have to think, if he were in his position, what he will do. If in that way he thinks, that is, there arises a collaboration of the things to arrive at a common conclusion which will be acceptable to both. Because your idea, my idea will go, it will become an our idea. That our idea can be possible only if there is a collaboration of understanding each other, the value of the thinking of other person, respecting the thinking of other person in the way in which he expected, though you are not acceptable to that. But at the same time, try to convince him how far he may be coming to reconcile with your your ideas on that same subject. Because if you, as far as the human concept is concerned, if a topic is given to me, I may have so many reasons to oppose it. He may have so many reasons to accept it. But where the difference arises, how will you resolve it? That can be possible only if the mediator understands the needs of both parties and make them understand how they can reconcile on a different aspect that has been come into conflict. To resolve that, for that, you must also understand the things in the way in which both were thinking about. Unless you have got the knowledge of respecting each other of views, because if you say that you are wrong, it is not possible, law doesn't provide it, they will immediately go away. Because he comes there saying that I am right. Even in a family dispute, if you go with the husband and wife, especially in the present day concept, because all are educated, they were imbibed with some ideas or idealism. They don't want to change with that. Unless you change that and say that there is a possibility of thinking in other way also that the other man was thinking about, they can come for a compromise. They can forego certain things for the purpose of ego's sake. Avoid the ego. Come for a compromise as to how we can equally participate and dispute it. A dispute can be resolved. That is the attitude, because that is the reason why listening is more interesting than let's speak. You will have to make them to speak. Once you understand the points of each other and make them to speak each other, problem will be solved, because most of the difficult aspect for a mediator is making them to come down from their position to a level of the person, the other person who is sitting against him, who wants something to be done from him. Especially in a case where, because now we are going with only family disputes and other things. If you go for employer-employee disputes, employee will always think about his profit. Employee will only think about what I will get if I work. Unless you reconcile their interest, make the employer to understand if he is doing it for his purpose, why can't you come down? If you think the position in which he is, because everybody is working for something to earn, if he is not getting the way in which he wants to live, mere greed is not sufficient for that purpose. Don't be greed for that, because employer is getting more, I must also get like that. Because unless the institution survives, the infrastructure survives, the institution will not be there. Once institutions are there, no employer, no employee. So you must understand the context in which the things are going on. There must be a giving up and take up also must be there. Their individualism is different, and community aspect will have to come into play. That is the reason why, because now our community system has gone, now we are learning the importance of the community from the teachings of other people now. Because they got it from our Vedanta, and they are now putting it in the form of a literature, saying that this is the best way you have to follow it. Why can't we understand our former culture? Collaborate, think about the society. Once you think about the society, because that is the reason why earlier it was said, family is a unit for the society. That if the family doesn't survive, the society will not survive. So everything based on the community purpose for which you are doing it, for that you will have to understand what is the culture or the environment from where each party comes. Once you understand and respect their views, and the mediator, and after understanding the surroundings of the persons who are coming before for discussion, then start with the discussion aspect, then automatically there will be a possibility of a settlement coming out of them, from them themselves. So there arises the necessity for cultural awareness for a mediator before going into dispute resolution of the persons who are coming before you. Once you understand that, then there is no, practically there will not be any possibility of impasse arises, because they will come with a solution for that purpose, and you can succeed that for that purpose. So the listening, respecting of the views of each other, make them also to understand they will have to respect the views of each other, and also respect the views of each other. Once that is accepted, the possibility will come. So cultural collaboration is also necessary for the purpose of better evaluation and development of the mediation process. That is my experience is. Not only that, when you go for community mediation, all these things will come, because you will have to deal with different communal issues, different religious issues. For example, suppose a temple and mosque is involved. Unless you know both persons' needs, you may not be able to solve it, because they will have their own concept, the other man will have their own concept. Like both concepts will not be reconciled. That was the reason with Vivekananda said that unless you have got a universal brotherhood, that can be possible only if you understand each other. And every person has got their own goodness. You will have to understand the goodness. Once the goodness of each person is understood, there is no possibility of any conflict. Conflict can be easily resolved. That is my humble view on this.
We are talking about dispute mediation only from the perspective of dispute resolution. Dispute is always a manifestation of a much larger underlying conflict, and that conflict is based upon what perspectives, how people are looking at the issue. If supposing I come from a particular culture, or I have a particular religious belief, or I belong to a particular nationality or a caste or whatever, my way of looking at the problem will be completely different from the way perhaps Justice Ramakrishnan will look, or Umar will look. It will be completely different. So mediation is all about getting into that perspective, trying to understand what is it that you think about this, reconcile that. So you first understand the perspective and then shift the perspective. So that can happen only through a process of dialogue. And that dialogue needs to be facilitated by a neutral third party. I think that was very wonderfully explained. And also one more point that Justice Ramakrishnan made is under the pressure of the colonial, the systems that we have adopted, we have forgotten our inherent basic cultures. Because, for example, William Urey talks about the Bushmen of the Kalahari Desert, how they resolve disputes. They use poison arrows for hunting. So what happens if there is a fight between the people? They use those poison arrows against each other. So what they do is, the moment there is a conflict in the community, somebody goes and hides all the poison arrows. Then they sit around the fire and they talk and they talk and they talk. They keep on talking unless they are able to reach a conclusion. And if they are not able to, still tempers run high. Whoever is angry is sent away to a neighboring village or somewhere to visit some relatives or someone. After the temper cools down, they come back, they have a conversation, and the conflict is resolved. So these, inherent cultural ways, methods, or systems of dispute resolution have somehow taken the back seat. We have forgotten our own cultural norms, and we have adopted something which is, I'm not saying that, nobody says that dismantle the courts, demolish the buildings, remove the judges. No, let that be there. But let us go back to the fundamental roots of conflict resolution and try to resolve. If it does not get resolved, then we go to the courts. Because as Justice Ramakrishnan said, the paradigm of this is right, this is wrong is only a matter of perspective. It's how I see it, right? So thank you so much, sir. Umar, over to you.
And at the outset, I would like to thank IMC, Jawad sir, and all the senior panel members over here for this opportunity. I can just, in short, I can say that this is a silent revolution that is taking place coming from Lucknow. I can clearly see the concern for community mediation in this gathering is really, really inspiring. So A couple of observations from my side on this. One is that we know that we are traditionally a collaborative society. British introduced the adversarial system to us like we know it today. Uh, but then, what are we doing to the conflict resolution system ourselves when we are acting as independent nation? That is also something that we need to take care. My understanding is that perhaps Part 3 of the Arbitration and Conciliation Act of 1996 was more flexible in terms of its effect and import as compared to the latest law on mediation that came in 2023. It gave us more space to evolve mediation as a cultural practice. And perhaps my idea is that maybe the good points of the Mediation Act could have been simply added to the Part 3 through an amendment. That could have done the job. But nevertheless, the kind of the kind of system we have now, my sense is that if we are talking about mediation as a culture, it is important that we don't take mediation towards too much of formalism or state-sanctioned practice. So that can be there, like Jawad sir said, that it is okay in its place. But then if we want to take mediation to the grassroots and we want to make mediation a commonplace practice, then perhaps this is something that we need to essentially do in order to get it mainstreamed. Now, the focus of this session, I believe, is on taking mediation to the youth. And one of the things that formalism or state sanction does to any practice, it makes it very bureaucratic, and too much of paperwork and all of those things come. So that perhaps drifts away the youth who are young entrants into the system, and it can become very difficult for them to really get going when it comes to mediation right from the beginning. In fact, there is this United Nations Security Council resolution. It came in 2015. The title of that resolution is Youth, Peace and Security. So that resolution is important for the fact that for the first time, youth was recognized of the breach of peace, but also someone who can positively contribute towards the maintenance of peace and security. And three proposals were given in that resolution, and I think they fit perfectly well in the Indian context also. So one is that we have to reach out to the youth through making connections. And they divided connections into three aspects. One is the in-room mediations that we do. For example, court annex mediations. So there is a lot of gatekeeping in court annex mediations also at times, because the young mediators find it very difficult to get into the mediation right from the beginning. Some courts have the rules of having a 10 years minimum practice, etc., etc. So that, having said that, so in-room mediation is not very inclusive at this stage. Then they said that there is something known as outside mediation or around the room mediation, where local youth can be involved at the community level, where they can, through seminars, through workshops, university programs, even school programs for that matter, we can catch them young, establish connections with them, and have it as a part of our, mediation program at the national level. So these are some of the things which were suggested by the United Nations Security Council, and I think that reaching out to the youth is extremely, extremely critical in that sense. The next question is, how do we do that? Because it's easy to say that catch them young, but how do we catch young, passionate mediators? That is something that we need to work upon. A couple of ideas that I would have with me is that, see, mediation is something which is so skillful. Apart from being so productive, it is so skillful that it gives you the life skills which are useful in any stream whatsoever. So it would be useful for your job, because in job you would be requiring communication, you would be requiring negotiations, you would be requiring a certain collaborative skill. In fact, World Economic Forum identifies collaboration as one of the top 5 skills that the future generation would be needing. So we can package the idea of mediation in a way that appeals to the youth, and they are, they are attracted towards it in terms of future career prospects also. And I'm sure that would allow them to be the mediators in whatever space they are, as an ombudsman in a corporate setting, or as a community level mediator, as a village level mediator. So I think that can work wonders. Along with that, maybe capacity building programs, when we talk about trainings, 40-hour trainings, etc., etc. I would suggest you one reading material. If you can have a look at that, it's available on a click of button. That is written by Mr. David Hoffman, one of the top mediators in the world. And the title of the article is Mediator as a Village Elder. And the second reference material that I would like to share with you is the 76th Law Commission report, which traces the Indian history of how we used to resolve our disputes before, the formal state sanctioned dispute system came in. So we had the system of Pug, Shreni, Kul, where community mediations were there, where commercial mediations were there, where individual issues were resolved without going to the king's court at the local level itself. So these are the things which are our collective heritage, and this is somewhere where we are lacking as well. So once we have established the connection with the youth, once we have trained them, not just in training, but also in conflict analysis, we then move on to collaboration. We can then have them associated with us as trained mediators and as people who are currently driving the process of mediation in the country. So I think that would work wonders. And I think if more submissions would come, I would be more than happy. Thank you so much. Thank you.
He stresses more on bringing youth to the reality. Because they are the persons, there is no one to train. There is no one to teach. There is no one to make them understand. So youth also requires somebody to teach, somebody to listen, somebody to understand them. So instigate or motivate the youths for these purposes. Once the youth were brought for the purpose of mediation purposes, I don't say, because probably at the time when the mediation process started, Supreme Court thought that because it's a court annexed mediation, some experienced persons are also required for that purpose. And it is not the bookish knowledge that is going to help you. It is the practical knowledge that is going to help you. That may be the reason why some experience was sought for the purpose of selecting the mediation. That doesn't mean that the younger generation lawyers are not fit for that. But they may be sometimes impulsive. And you will become more mature, not because of your age, but because of your learning from others, how you are tackling the issue of others in a better way. So that can be possible only by experience. That experience can be imparted to the youth also. They can also be brought to the scenario along with you. Train them also along with you, so that future prospects of bringing mediation by the youth themselves will be more possible.
Point of view that mediation should not be in the exclusive clutches of old men like me, but there should be more young people who should get involved in mediation, because Justice Ramakrishnan spoke about experience and spoke about wisdom. Now, the whole challenge in mediation is, are we going to import our wisdom and our experience into the experience or wisdom of the parties? So this is where I think we are missing the point, when we are actually not allowing the youth to come into the mediation. And that is where I think Umar made a very valid point when he said that court annexed mediation has become too bureaucratic today. And we are simply applying the adjudicatory paradigm, the advisory paradigm to mediation also. So what is happening in court annexed mediation today is only advice being given to the parties to settle, or parties being told that you're right or wrong and this is what you should be doing. So this is what is happening. Now, what we need to do is we need to bring about the transition. And one of the points that I'm sure all of us will agree is that this training in collaborative problem solving, because instead of looking at, that's where when we say moving mediation beyond dispute resolution, when we look at an issue as a dispute, the problem comes. But when we look at it as a problem which needs to be solved, the whole the focus shifts completely, because a problem is something that is affecting both of us. It's not just a dispute, it's a problem that we are facing. We are not having a dispute. We have two different ideas of solving the problem, and that is where a fresh mind can look at that and help them to reach that understanding without bringing this mediator's perspective into the whole picture. Now, today, what is happening, because, lawyers like us who come with 30 years experience, 40 years experience, or retired judges, we are sitting as mediators. We have so much of experience. We have so much of wisdom. And we are bringing that and imposing it on the parties. If we are able to do it without imposing that on the parties and help them to come to a conclusion on their own by understanding each other's perspective, that would be perfect collaboration. That would be perfect mediation. And for that, I think we need to catch them young. So because my personal experience has been, it has been much easier for me to train youngsters, college students in mediation, even school students. I'm sorry, before I go to just one point I want to make. Sharma sir does one exercise in his training program. So what he does is he walks around looking very agitated, looking at his watch, looking outside the door. And then the question is asked to the participants, what did you observe? And every time people, all experienced lawyers, experienced, former IRS officers, all very highly professional people, they always say, you look very impatient. You're in a hurry. You're waiting for somebody. Now, his question was, what did you observe? Now, the same question, if you put to a child, the child will say, I saw you looking at your watch. I saw you scratching your head. I saw you looking out of the door. Right? That is observation. Now, when you say that you are in a hurry, you're looking agitated, or you're waiting for somebody, or you want to go out somewhere, it is assumption. You're assuming. So adults, what we do is we assume things. Okay, we assume that if somebody is dressed like this, must be like this. If somebody is eating like this, must be like this, right? And on those assumptions, we try to impose those assumptions on the people. So I think that's a very valid point that Umar made. I don't want to go on talking as the moderator. I've already spoken a lot. Next to...
Thank you, Joseph. Respect. I just remember the quotings of Abraham Lincoln. He said that you can easily destroy your enemy by making him a friend. How to make a person a friend? That is the thing we are doing in mediation. Last 12 years, 14 years observance as a mediator, I found that people feels that mediation is just for settling the dispute and reducing the number of cases pending before the court. No, not at all. First of all, we must know what is mediation. Mediation is nothing but peace building, actually. How to build peace in this society. Ultimate purpose of law is to give justice and peace to the people. Whether the people are satisfied with the system working in our country. Through mediation, whether they are satisfied or not. Now also, we feel that the number of cases pending before the court to be reduced. I don't think so. That arbitration, conciliation and other methods can be used for that. Mediation is more than that. To have a better relationship, to have a better friendship, to maintain peace. You know, the legal system, what it is doing, a wrongdoer is punished and says that, as Umar said, that justice, think it of, the system says that the person has got justice, whether he got justice or not. By punishing a wrongdoer, we are creating fear and frustration to the society. Nothing else. It is fear created. Yes, these are the things. And frustration is there. But through mediation, we are bringing a culture of friendship. Yes. How we can develop that friendship? First of all, through mediation, we have to develop the quality of acceptance. Accept the person who is opponent. We say open. There's no opponent at all. A person comes with a problem. Accept how we can build up acceptance. Along the acceptance, respect also has to be brought up. Respect the other person who is sitting. He is also having the same rights. What right I am enjoying, the same right he is also having. And build a trust. Actually, these are the qualities that in mediation also what we are doing. Through the mediation process, we are accepting the other person and making respect to the other person. Moreover, we are creating a trust on that person. Through trust, we are creating truth or truth things, truth. How we can do that? Really empathy on the person. Yes, whatever I am suffering, the same thing. I'm in the shoe of the other person. People are not thinking about it. Then only the communication, through communication, is possible. So mediation is not at all compromising, actually, or not reducing the case. Moreover, we are building peace in society, or peace builders. Actually, a quiet revolution takes place in our society. We are leading to that, a quiet revolution. And the mediators are supposed to be the warrior of the quiet revolution. We are the soldiers for bringing peace in society. A society where peace is there, we can easily live with protecting our dignity. The Constitution very clearly says that live with human dignity is the ultimate right every person needs in this country, whether we are giving such a dignity to a person. Starting is Java sir, there is economical difference, social difference, political, lot of differences are there. But within that difference, a person should feel that my dignity is protected. How we can make sure that the dignity is protected? Through the process of mediation. Other person also feel that, yes, my dignity is protected. That culture to be developed in the society. But it is not come to that stage. Actually, mediation was a concept earlier. Other concept was used as a tool for resolution of the conflicts. Then nowadays we are using it as a mechanism. It has to rise from there to as a culture to the people and culture to the society. Let the youth learn. If a problem, if a dispute comes, if a conflict comes, how we can amicably come to resolve that problem. That can be done in a better way in mediation only. I'm not taking much time. Already some of us are already given the cheat. 12:15 we are supposed to finish up with. I also prepared a lot of things, but there is not, now it is 12:30, 15 minutes already we are taken. So I'm not going to that. The culture to be developed through spreading the message of mediation. Actual message is not spread in the society, actually, I say. Now also people feel that mediation is used as a mechanism to reduce the number of cases pending before the court. No, not at all. Whether we are giving justice through mediation or not, how we can impart justice to the person, justice is nothing but satisfaction. For this process, we are giving satisfaction or not. If a person is getting satisfaction, the mediation is success. Such a culture to be brought in the society, I will say.
I think that was beautifully summed up by Bhovendran. I don't think I need to summarize that any further because two important points he made was that any form of conflict resolution should end in satisfaction and the objective should be peacemaking. So we need more peacemakers than we need advocates or politicians or whatever. Thank you so much. Thank you.